Hey, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. In the overnight session, we've seen a pretty strong upside move, and the overnight bias has clearly been bullish, but our short-term bias heading into the open continues to be neutral bearish, and the market is set to open near the 54.5 to 56.5 pre-market resistance zone. Sell side has been active there so far in the overnight session, and then we have larger time frame resistance at 58.5 to 61 and 24.63. Now, the bigger question heading into this week is whether the larger time frame balance breakdown that we saw on Thursday is going to continue to be intact, and how the market responds to the 58.5 to 61 zone and the 24.63 high from last Thursday is going to answer that question. So as long as the sell side can hold ES below 58.5 to 61, that larger time frame balance breakdown can remain intact, and we can then balance below 58.5 to 61. And in the event that buyers take out 58.5 to 61 and especially 24.63, then it puts the entire breakdown into question, and then the market is right back into that recent multi-week balance area. And from there, we could go higher and test 24.65 and perhaps even 67.5 to 69.5. But on first test, by default, we are going to give edge to the sell side at 58.5 to 61 and at 24.63. On the downside, the first area of support is 46.5 to 49, and that's a spot where buyers can defend on first test, but it doesn't necessarily have to cap the downside on the day time frame today. And that's something that we will have to assess in real time. Below that, we have support at 39.5 to 41.5, followed by 35.5 to 37.5. Now, given how strong the overnight session has been, buyers can be active and defend at pretty much every support zone on the way down. So again, heading into the open, we know that in the overnight session, clearly the buy side has been dominant, but we are approaching larger time frame resistance at 58.5 to 61, which could prove to be a failure spot on first test, and then the market could start to balance yet again, and we would have to see a lot of upside momentum and continued broad market strength in order to take out 58.5 to 61 and 24.63. In the event that the market does take those areas out, then the entire balance breakdown comes into question, and from there we could head higher into 24.65 and possibly 67.5 to 69.5. But because the larger time frame pattern is still bearish below 58.5 to 61, by default we are going to give more edge to the sell side on first test of initial resistance and 24.63, because that area marks larger time frame resistance, and it could prove to be a failure spot, not just a small rejection. But of course, we will have to continue to assess that scenario in real time and see what kind of response we're getting at 58.5 to 61. So we still need to be somewhat flexible and nimble with our intraday bias, but the short-term bias is neutral bearish below 58.5 to 61. So those are the main ideas. Let's see if that balance breakdown from Thursday can remain intact, and we'll take it from there.